Boys and girls, it's getting a little bit out of control. $200 for a key fob from Strata managers. We're going to talk about real estate agencies, tenants, landlords, keys, what's right, what's not right, and what you can do about it in the event of getting ripped. Stay tuned.
I'm the ringleader, so listen up.
Cleo Whittier, expert property manager. People are getting ripped.
Oh, look, I think everyone's getting ripped around this time, whether it's fuel at the supermarket, keys, it's all happening. The bank balance is going down.
This is not right. This is not right.
Um,
So, taking it from the top. So, and then this, I guess, this goes for anyone that's generally in need of keys with tenancies. Works with houses, works with strata units, townhouses, works with tenants, works with landlords, works with property managers, works with owner occupiers. Keys are a big thing, and no one really talks about keys.
it seems like a boring topic, but there's so many stories that come out of keys. Like it's just one of those things that in property management you're always having an issue with, no matter how tight your procedure is, no matter how flawless your process, something's going to go wrong with keys always, whether at your open home or a fire safety inspection needed, or the door gets changed, no one gives the managing agent a key. It's always to do with keys. We have so much responsibility with these keys.
We've got 2,000 sets of keys, of which we've got multiple copies of some of these sets, and it's yeah, you get good at it. You get good at it. Now, Cleo, it seems like the biggest rip out there is fobs.
Yeah. So the security fobs and swipes and security keys are all controlled by Strata. It's the secure way for a building to operate. So each lot owner will receive, usually in the development process, say 2 fobs that will allow you into the main security entry door. These can't be copied. Tenants need them, agents need them, tradies need them, and we never have enough of them, and they're very expensive. So, during the process of obtaining one of those, an extra one, you have to fill in an application form. You have to prove that the tenant is still the tenant, how many they've got, did they lose one, are they Airbnb? Like it's just a really long process. It's not as simple as back in the old days. I remember Mason and Brophy used to be in Delmar Parade, and you'd just go there with your business card and go, "Can I have a copy of the security key?" And the receptionist would walk out the back and just give you one and maybe charge you $20, invoice the agent. Simple. Not like that anymore. It's not.
Why are they charging so much?
I don't know. I don't know whether it's a deterrent, so people are more accountable for the key and not losing it like it's just a, simple key you can cut at Mr. Minute, or if it has to do with the recoding process. I know if you lose a garage door remote, you have to then pay a contractor to come back out and code in the new remote. So for a fob, maybe after a certain amount of being lost, they have to have someone go in and recode all the fobs or the swipes. I do know some of the boarding houses operate on swipes only. You can be locked out with that swipe. So all of that process, I guess, costs money to have somebody go and control all of that too. So, yeah, I would say that cost is factored in with having to attend site and recode a new one in.
Is there a minimum or maximum that can be charged for a key fob from Strata, or they charge at what they want?
They can charge what they want. There's nothing set in stone as to a cap on how much they can charge. You can't go to another source though. If you're in a building and it's managed by Strata, you can't just independently go and get your own and have it coded in or anything like that. It's it's meant to be a secure process. So they are the gatekeeper of the swipes, the fobs, and the security keys.
Jesus. Is there a limit to how many fobs you can get?
It's all relevant to the tenancy. So if there's 2 tenants on the lease, they've already had 2, they may request a third. Maybe they've got a cleaner that comes in or the grandparent that looks after the kids. They are monitored though. So each strata manager will monitor how many that property has. If there's only 2 tenants and there's 4 fobs going out or 5, they might go, what the hell, this is too many. What's going on here? Or they've lost them and they continuously lose them. I have had a strata charge the lot owner and then on set to the tenant for having the whole apartment floor recoded because they lost the swipe so many times, and that was in excess of $500 as a cost. So I mean, yeah, like you can't have more than your allocated share of fobs and keys, which is again I think why there is such a cost involved. It is a bit of a deterrent, so make sure you don't lose that fob.
Now, I do know council does not have the power to enforce the amount of occupants in a property.
No, but the lease
Like,
agreement does. So if you have a lease agreement with 2 or 3 occupants and that's exceeded and you can prove that at NCAT, you can have the tenancy, terminated.
But when that's occupants sleeping overnight, but if you
Or no,
decide to
permanently residing.
permanently residing, but if you jam 100 people into an apartment, let's do a silly example. If we jam 100 people in an apartment, council doesn't have an issue with it. How does the strata manager have an issue with it?
Yeah, well, the strata manager has bylaws. A breach of bylaw would entail perhaps if they're doing Airbnb and that's why there's so many people coming and going, they can try and
Uh,
prove it that way.
Church group, very quiet. 100 of them turn up. They want swap. They want. So I just have an issue with it because I think, I know it's a silly example, but I think it's almost this godlike thing with strata managers where they're restricting fobs. They're charging ludicrous amounts for fobs. Not all, but we've definitely encountered some. Where do you go if you've got an issue with it as a landlord or a tenant or an occupant? If you've got an issue with this, is it like boohoo, too bad? You call the police, you call council. Where do you go?
Well, I mean, you could go to the committee. The committee is a governing body formed by other owners within the building to have a change made within Strata.
Yep.
Those AGM, EGM meetings, any owner can call one and just say, look, I've had enough. I don't think we should have fobs anymore. Let's just do a normal key entry. There's properties that have no security key entry for the building. It's a normal key that can be cut and people can just come and go. So, owners do have rights and make changes. It's only when there's something in place contractually that they go against that then the strata manager is like, well, this is the voice of the people, all the other owners in the building. So if you're only one, but I can't imagine if it's such an issue that it'd be limited to just one owner because, the majority of units are, half maybe owner occupied, the other half tenanted. So, you do have to have that flexibility. So yeah, yeah, there is a God complex going on with Strata. I can't, that's a topic for another day, but with keys especially, I do have one case where I have a property where the main entry door is a security key, which is very, very unusual, but they all decided in the building that that's how it was going to be. And then basically to get additional keys, you had to go through almost like this warden of the building, and it's become impossible over years to get extra keys for this unit. So yeah, look, it's not something that we enjoy. As property managers, we do try and find a way around things. But yeah, fobs and keys
Wow.
are an expense.
And if you can't get any reprieve from Strata, can you go to like a tribunal or something?
Well, NCAT's there for everyone. You know, tenants, landlords, stratas. If you're not getting a response and you're doing things within the law and legislation, of course, go to NCAT, have your matter heard, and see what happens. It's a cheap application fee. It's $30. So
Oh.
if you're frustrated and you're not getting a resolve, NCAT is the way to go. Rather than, you know, beating your head up against the wall all the time. Just, you know, turn up to a hearing and see what rights and, you know, what legislation will support you in that factor. With keys especially, I mean, I haven't really done an NCAT case associated with keys, other than tenants having to pay for keys when they lose them and things like that as part of a bond claim. But yeah, look, I've had a strata manager say that it's not permitted to have a lockbox on common property, and the owner's doing a reno and he wants to have a lockbox so trades can come and go, and they've said no, you can't have a lockbox. It's common property.
So before we go, how many tenants, how many sets of keys do you have to give a tenant?
So it's down to the number of people on the lease agreement. So if you've got 2 tenants on the lease, you have to give them 2 full sets of everything.
And
3
before
tenants,
we,
3 full sets.
and what happens if they lose that set of keys?
They lose the set of keys. What they tend to do is go to the agent and say, oh, I know you guys usually have a master set. Can we come and pick them up and get a copy? It is not mandated that an agent needs to have a copy of your keys. So a locksmith is needing to be called if you're locked out middle of the night. You know, Novak, we have gone to the office and provided keys for tenants out of the kindness of our hearts at, you know, all hours. Or if an agent's working late, you know, during a contract, they'll let the tenant in and come and see if they've got a key. What if that key doesn't work? It's not our responsibility. If the keys we've had are 50 years old and doors been changed 3 times and they've come to collect keys, you know, it's not 100%, you know, foolproof guarantee. We do what we can to help, but that's what, you know, your locksmiths for those emergencies.
Guys and girls, that's keys from the expert property manager, Cleo Whittier. Thanks, Cleo.
Thank you. See you. Bye.
Guys, I hope this helped you today. Love you. See you. Bye.